when I put this together, it is such an incredible healing, positive experience because you realize how successful all of you are. So this is really a celebration of what all of you do every day. I think we'll talk about the hard things that we're facing and that we have to do, but I think you're going to leave this room extremely proud of the progress we're making and the healthy state of our school. So some big news, and I'm going to move quick. I won't say everything on every slide, but this will be available to you if you want to spend more time with it. So again, we're delighted that Dr. Kappa has joined us, sitting here in the front. You wave your hand there. He has joined us from the University of Washington, Seattle. He is stepping into the big shoes of Kathy Newsel to lead our historic Center for Vaccine Development. He is an internationally recognized expert in the pathobiology of malaria, which has been a historic foe of humanity, kills more children every year than almost any infectious disease. And what's exciting is his fundamental science work over more than a decade has led to the development of the first highly effective and long-lived vaccine for malaria. The science backed the publication 3 or 4 months ago in the New England Journal. His attenuated, genetically engineered parasite is now in clinical trials, and we're seeing more than 90% protection. So super exciting to have him join us here. We also are delighted to announce our new chair of medicine, which is taking the baton from the historic leadership of Steve Davis, Roberto Machado. He's coming from the Indiana University. He's an expert in pulmonary vascular disease. You can see highly funded by the National Institutes of Health, highly published and expert in pulmonary hypertension. We have here in the room with us Dr. Hanna, our new chair of the Department of Diagnostic Radiology and Nuclear Medicine. He's the head of an incredibly large division of diagnostic radiology for Emory Health. He's been their top recruiter. We're so excited to have him here recruiting the stars for us. And we're just delighted by his leadership. He's been working 20 hours a week even before he came, and now full-time, which for him is probably 100 hours a week. Dr. Hanna, are you in the room? Welcome. In other big news, you all have to see this facility if you're not squeamish, but we've opened the Maurice Reed, MD, Class of '99 Anatomy Teaching Facility. The ribbon cutting on the left on October 8th, 2024, made possible by a $1 million gift and support from the state. This is state-of-the-art, 52 dissection tables, surgical quality overhead lighting, point-of-care ultrasound imaging stations, touch screens, hyper-realistic. We have shock trauma surgeons going to the lab teaching our students how to do procedures. And you can see here, this is led by Adam Pouchet, who's won almost every teaching award. He's one of the top anatomy professors in the nation. So an incredible opening of this anatomy lab for our medical school and for our other schools, including the dental school. You couldn't help if you came here getting trapped in traffic around this massive construction project, the 13th floor Rosalind and Leonard Stoller Center for Advanced Medicine. And you can see Tofik Awanikoko, the director of our cancer center. Tofik, good to see you over there. But this is this is going to open late 2026. A $16 million Building for Life campaign was our most successful philanthropy campaign ever for this building. We have less than $4 million left to raise, so if you want your name and lights in the lobby of this building, you can come find Bert and I after. We're also thrilled by a new partnership between College Park leaders in bioengineering, engineering, and math, and our campus leaders in biomedical research and translational research. And we received a transformative gift by Edward and Jennifer St. John to support our Center for Translational Medicine and Engineering. And this was matched by a 12.75 contribution from the Empower. Pastor King, welcome.
Thank you.
We have a seat for you somewhere. Come on, maybe on the corner there. You'll get to hear from him later. This is really exciting. This is led by Dr. Scarcelli, who is the director from College Park, and Dr. Saidi, who's our clinical co-director from the Department of Ophthalmology. This is the new space across the way on the 4 MLK Wexford Building glass tower on Martin Luther King. It's a beautiful 250,000 square feet facility. These are already 5 recruits that are brought in. And just to kind of, just take a look at where they're coming from, and in bold, the kind of work they do, just to get a sense of engineering meeting medicine, optical therapeutics, nano-immunoengineering, adaptive optics, and fluorescence lifetime imaging. Very exciting stuff. And so again, we also, surrounding this program, I'm very proud to announce, and this has been the work of Donna Parker and her colleagues at College Park, the launching of a brand new combined 8-year Bachelor of Science combined with an MD degree. 70% of students have to do 1 or 2 gap years to get into medical school. This allows a fast track for our best students focused on math, focused on bioengineering, to get into our medical school. And we're calling these physician years, and we've launched our first cohort. We have 7 College Park starting sophomores that have been accepted, 5 in Bio-E, 1 from math and computer science. Their average GPA is a meager 3.97. And not only are they doing the bioengineering and math training, but they're getting into the clinic with scribing. And we're choosing people that know math but have incredible humanistic qualifications. And we'll get to hear from the people that helped put this program together, and I'll start with Dean Sam Graham.
When you think about the future of medicine and what we're going to be delivering to patients, it's going to involve more and more aspects of technology. And so BSMD students will come from computer science and engineering. And so we'll be able to start early, not only giving them the foundations in those particular career fields, but then also delivering technology and content that is specific to the field of medicine and what's needed. There will be aspects of how do you bring artificial intelligence to improve the doctor-patient care, how to bring it into the development of new tools, diagnostics, how to help make the lives of doctors even better.
The most appealing thing about the BSMD program is the community that I'm able to find here. I've known my whole life that I'm interested in mathematics and I want to pursue mathematics education to a higher degree, but I've also known that I ultimately want to be a physician, a doctor, and help people in that manner. So it was a big question that I struggled with throughout high school and even in my first year of college, trying to find my path and my place in the field of medicine. But having this community within this BSMD program and showing me the different passions, the different avenues for being a mathematician and a physician has just been absolutely incredible. I feel I've really found my place. I found my people, a support system, and that's everything I could have asked for.
The BS to MD program is going to be a fantastic avenue to both recruit outstanding students to the University of Maryland and provide them just a seamless pathway from a technical engineering or computer science degree to a medical degree. Students that really have a passion for engineering, science, and a passion for helping people. I think that's ultimately what we want as practicing physicians, are folks who care and want to help others.
And we literally heard today, we received an anonymous 1 million gift for this program. And that gift is focused on, quote, I want us to take students that would go to Stanford and now will go to College Park, recruiting them right out of high school. So Dean Graham, you're in the front. You can maybe wave your hand there and appreciate your partnership.
When you think about
Thank you. So I do want to take a quick foray into the challenges we're facing around federal funding and what we're doing to address these challenges. So we've had 4 major impacts since January on federal funding for academic medical centers. 1, grant terminations. 2, funding delays, probably the largest problem. 3, proposed cuts to facilities and administration, what are called indirects, that support things like animal safety, human safety, radiation safety, rent, buildings, et cetera, and then proposed larger cuts to the federal budget for the NIH. And I'll just quickly go through this and why I see cause for optimism and how we're going to address these potential and real challenges. So the first impact, we received 28.4 million cuts to our funding in certain areas, like training individuals for careers in science and medicine who are underrepresented in science and medicine, cuts to our global health programs in Africa, cuts to health equity ventures in West Baltimore, things like that, vaccinology, CDC grants. And in 2026, we believe there's almost 30.4 million that are at risk as well. The second impact, which is a little more complicated, is really delays to reviewing grants, to promoting new grants, and to awarding grants. And now some delays in moving grants because about 10% of the intramural workforce has been let go by DOGE. And if you look in the light yellow, this is the range in the last 5 years of how much money in millions we would receive on that month at our institution. And in the darker yellow is the average. And you can see there's peaks at certain cycles where grants are awarded. But in red is what we've actually received now. Now, this is particularly abnormal because we had a record-breaking number of grants submitted by all of you in the last 8 months. We had a 24% increase in grants submitted over any historic milestone for the university. And if you look at the right, the cumulative loss of grants in millions that we normally would have received in yellow is shown in red. And this delta is this wave of delayed funding. Now, NIH is moving grants again. We're hopeful this narrows, but this is going to create a moving wave of underfunding that's going to affect all of us in this room. The third impact is in the president's bill, a plan to cut indirects from 55% to 15%. And I mentioned what those indirects are for. And those have been set up since the end of World War II to support the infrastructure around research. But if we had a cut to 15%, that would be 47 million lost to the School of Medicine per year. And even 35% would be a 17 million budgetary hole. The fourth is a proposed reduction of the NIH budget by $20 billion in the big beautiful bill. This would be a 37% cut and would be almost 94 million to our NIH funding. And this includes cuts to other granting agencies that we receive funding from. Our 500 million in grants is about 40% NIH, 60% other agency funding, as well as state funding. Now here's the good news. The NIH is and always has been supported in a bipartisan nature. And I always remind people the NIH was created by Eisenhower, the NCI was created by Nixon, the doubling occurred under Clinton and George Herbert Walker Bush, PEPFAR was launched by George W. Bush. This has always been bipartisan. And what you see is the president's budget had a 40% cut. The Senate surprised us and wanted to increase the budget $400 million and no cuts to indirects. And the House Appropriations Committee argued for a 1.5% increase. So we're hopeful, and this was quite bipartisan, we're very hopeful that there may be securing of the NIH grant, understanding how important it is. And I'll just jump on my soapbox for 1 minute. Only 5% of hospitals in America are academic medical centers like UMMC. However, we take care of 30% Medicare patients, 30% of Medicaid patients. We do 70% of NIH research, which has funded 99% of FDA-approved drugs in the last 25 years. All these miracles of cancer and cardiovascular care in America that drive our American economy came from this funding. Our AMCs, right here, fund 4% of the gross domestic product of the country and 4% of the best jobs in America. And this is in all cities. The #1 employer in Alabama is the University of Alabama, Birmingham. You can see this in every city in America. We have largely become med-ed cities like Baltimore. So we've been running modeling of risk, Joni Prasad's group with Chris O'Donnell in partnership with UMB. And our low risk scenario for this wave of underfunding would assume that only 25% of grants are not funded, and there's no change in indirects, and there's no change to the overall budget. And this would still be more than 75 million in 26 and 50 million in 27. So this wave is coming, and then we modeled medium and higher risk, provided there were more deeper cuts, as I summarized. So what are we doing? Well, we have a strategy both to pivot and strengthen. First of all, we've released bridge funding grants. I'll briefly mention that in a minute. 2, we want the best in-class time to clinical trials activation, and we want to create partnerships with pharma industry around platforms for vaccinology, platforms for cancer care. We want to work on real-world clinical trials across UMMS with pharmaceutical partners for things like lung cancer screening that you'll hear about. And we're working on foundation funding. Part of the reason Dr. Kappa's here early is that we have the head of the Gates Foundation here on campus tomorrow. We have a lunch, we have a dinner, and obviously we're very interested. His work on malaria is funded by the Gates Foundation. There's also tremendous opportunities in military medicine right here in Washington. And on the left, I want to highlight Alan Doctor, who's funded with almost a $40 million DARPA grant. Tom Scalea and Elizabeth Powell, who have really backed and worked with STAR on our Air Force grants. So there's a lot of opportunity for a Center for Military Medicine. We've been communicating the value of science and the value of medicine for America and how this makes us competitive against China and takes us to this new economy of the future. I've had 10 town halls. We've had updates. My poor board of visitors, you're tired of hearing from me. I apologize. But we've been trying to carry this message forward, how important what we do is to the city of Baltimore, the state of Maryland, and America more broadly. And our researchers have been in forums. For example, this was set up by Chris Hardwick's team, and our leaders shown here and in these photos were interviewed by the following news journals that you can read here. We've also formed working groups. How do we get alternative funding streams? And I show you here our faculty leaders. I appreciate your leadership. How do we pivot around infectious disease, immunology, vaccinology, and international, in particular, international global health research? You all may not know, but 25% of HIV cases in the continent of Africa were diagnosed by our teams through the Institute for Human Virology in partnership with Nigeria and other African countries. And 25% of treated people over the last 20 years were treated through that IHV partnership funded by the PEPFAR program. We're working again on clinical trials, so I appreciate your leadership. We've released a major bridge funding initiative, and we appreciate Bruce Gerald, Don Rhodes. This was a contribution of $2.5 million from UMB, $2.5 million from the School of Medicine reserves. This is an idea to have 100,000 grants for investigators who are about to get their grant, but this funding delay is tripping them up, or they've got an incredible idea that they can pivot to. And these are competitive. We've created 2 review committees led by Dr. Steve Davis and Asaf Keller for basic and clinical research. And they are reviewing the grants as they receive them. There is no delay. We've already had 45 proposals. They've already funded 18 and awarded $1.4 million. And again, we're moving quickly on this to support all of you. We are also killing it from a grant submission. All of you are working tirelessly. The red shows our grants submitted compared to the last 5-year historical norm in red. So you can see we're almost doubling the grants that we've submitted as a faculty. So how are we doing? What's the state of the union by the numbers? So first of all, our national rankings, and I'll show you a variety of rankings. I love data, as you know. So first of all, by US News, we're ranked in the top quarter of 197 medical schools. We're tier 2, which is top 30 for both research and primary care, which is unusual. Often you're really good at research, you have a lot of specialists, lower primary care, or vice versa. So we're at a very nice place there. The National Science Foundation ranked the 12th among public medical schools and 27th among all medical schools. Our total research funding by AAMC ranked us 27th among all, 9th among public. And if you're a boxer, we're outperforming as pound per pound, what is it? The best pound per pound boxing. By pound per pound, which is funding per FTE, we're 5th and 18. And all of our chairs who are wearing their white coats here today and our major departments like epidemiology, this is our ranking on Blue Ridge, which is an NIH ranking only. You could see how many are in the top 25, top 20, and top 10. So I do want to recognize our new research directors and our hardworking interim directors. Kelly Dunn, the new head of our Collard Institute for Addiction Medicine. I'll mention more about this later. Dr. Fertig, who herself, by the way, a PhD in mathematics from College Park, so I think, where's Dr. Fertig? You're going to be a big role model for these BSMD students. I like to call them mathletes. And Dr. Kelly, who leads the Maryland Psychiatric Research Center. James Campbell, he's got 10 jobs already. He does about 3 FTEs worth of work, but he agreed to take the interim role until Dr. Kappa arrives. And Anthony Harris has just worked tirelessly for the Department of Epidemiology. He's a very famous epidemiologist, huge research program, and so glad for your leadership. We are publishing in the highest impact journals. When we say impact, that means in 1 year you get a ton of citations. People refer to your work. It also means it's some fundamental discovery that was so impactful or important that it made it to these hard to get in journals. And it also means that a lot of people read about these studies. And I don't have time to read all of these, but I just want to recognize the faculty like Dr. Berry and let you look at the name of the study or the paper just to see the sophistication and diversity of the work we're doing. Dr. Al Reese published a major piece in the New England Journal of Medicine, which is the most impactful journal in all of medicine. Dr. Brad Mera in an editorial in the New England Journal of Medicine, Dr. Herb, a Nature paper. And again, Cancer Research, JAMA Open Network. Dr. Asaya now is in ENT, but pediatric ENT, but now is working in the Institute for Health Computing in a great partnership there. Dr. Manza in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. Dr. Badras publishing in Blood. You can see a new drug combo for multiple myeloma, which my mother died from. Right now, you live with multiple myeloma. You don't die of multiple myeloma because of advances in NIH-funded research. So this is our total awarded grants and contracts, and it's similar to what I showed you last year. And last year, this was really good news because we lost $120 million in PEPFAR funding, and all of our COVID grants sunsetted and went away. So our faculty had replaced those massive grants. I'm not sure, it's probably close to 200 million or 150 million with all these other grants. But 2025 is a disappointment, you'll see in a minute, because of the number of grants we submitted. And we expected this to go way up. We have about, so far, a 2.5% in awards, but again, that wave is coming, but it's coming for everyone in academic medicine. This is the total submitted grants. We had a total 14% increase in submitted dollars awards for 2025. Now note this is approaching $2.5 billion in funds, but again, only a fraction of these are actually awarded. And this is a 24% increase in NIH grants submitted. We've also received some very large, very impressive grants. And I'll just show, Owen White, a leader in the Institute for Genome Science in our Department of Epidemiology, received a $14.6 million U24 grant. This is supporting a major initiative called the Human Virome Project. We live with viruses symbiotically, pathogenically, and understanding our virome and how that changes health and disease. So this is a major initiative that will have long legs in terms of discovery and translation of new medicines and care. Dr. Watnick's one of the world's expert in polycystic kidney disease. She just received 2 major clinical grants. Again, Owen White and the team at IGS, Dr. Maherkar, Dr. Sethament received a large grant, $8.5 million for 5 years, supporting this brain initiative called the SCORCH Consortium. And they're mapping out cells and gene expression in the human brain, which is the next great frontier in science and medicine. Dr. Bennett, a huge grant for psychosis in young people. Dr. Wickwire, a big study for how do we diagnose by telemedicine and manage by telemedicine are service members in the military at remote locations. 4% of adults have obstructive sleep apnea, and we have cures and solutions for that. Dr. Rosenblatt, cancer drug clinical trial, testing a new drug for breast cancer. Dr. Connors, looking at unmet health need for Baltimore children. We also have training grants. These are so important. Training grants build the next generation of scientists. And there's something called T32s, and those support a salary and some spending money for people getting their PhD, and then after their PhD in their first job as a postdoctoral fellow. These are labors of love because these are very hard 25-page grants with hundreds of tables, and you don't get any effort if you get that grant. So in the School of Medicine, we have an incentive where we give 10% effort for our faculty that secure these grants, but we were awarded 3 of these. The medical scientist training program is for our MD PhDs. Jessica Mong, multidisciplinary training in neuroscience. Dr. Rizzo and Trudeau, training program in cellular and molecular membrane biology. And a big new K-12 with Dr. Awanikoko, Dr. Martin, and Rebecca Nowak. But we also have education, R21s with Dr. Silverman, D43s, which are global health research led by, I always mispronounce, Dr. Adabamawel. Clement, thank you. And we've submitted new T32s. This has been a big push for us. T32s on translational orthopedics, injury training programs, cancer population science, addiction and neuroscience. And then we're renewing ones that are historic T32s that we've had, diabetes and obesity, gastroenterology, schizophrenia, muscle biology. It kind of gives you a sense of where we're strong and who we're training. And we've submitted new ones. Dr. Jones, a new R25 for education, information, technical assistance. And this is bridging cells to communities impacted by cancer. Here's translational cancer research. Ethics training in Nigeria, women's reproductive health careers, ophthalmology. Now, K-12 grants are when you get your fellowship, you finish your fellowship, gives you money to start your independent career. So these are very important grants that we're working hard on. They support faculty. And a big thanks to Dr. Wonder Drake, who has been a champion for these K-12. Not many people help write grants, create the grant, push it to the finish line, but don't put their name on the grant. And that's what she's done for this big cancer K-12, so thank you. We're also working on innovation and entrepreneurship. Dr. Jason Rose partners with Jim Hughes at UMB to try to drive a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. We've had 96 invention disclosures, 199 patent filings, 27 license agreements, and 8 startups. This shows you why this investment in AMCs and science leads to the success of our country. We also have investments in innovation, as shown here. Blackbird Laboratories has just funded a new startup with one of our thoracic surgeons and the surgical head of our lung transplant program, Dr. Krupnik. So he has a new company. So we're delighted about these efforts. We also received only 1 of 5 NIH Research Evaluation and Commercialization Hubs grants called Build, and the PI is Dr. Jason Rose and supported by Dr. David Weber. But we've given 23 technology development grants through Build, and we're starting the 3rd year cohort 3, and we have 1 million of grants to give out. We've also launched an Innovation Alliance, and the goal here is how do we create a network, and anybody you know that's interested in this, a network of venture capitalists, people that have home offices and enjoy investing in new startups that will serve as mentors and investors for information or IP that comes out of the university. And we appreciate the leaders of our board and others listed here that have supported this initiative. And so far, we have about 45 funders and collaborators through this effort. Institutes and centers. We have 5 major research institutes and 3 major research centers. Now, we have more than 25 centers and growing, but these are sort of our major hubs. What these do is they break down silos, because you're in a primary department like, say, biochemistry, but then you'll have a role in the institute. So it allows you to collaborate across campus, breaking down these silos. And there are 300 PhD faculties in these 8 groups, 240 physician scientists spanning 24 departments, collectively generating more than 200 million in grants from 681 funding organizations. And I just list them here, but I'm going to just briefly touch on updates from each of these. So we're really proud of our Collard Institute for Addiction Medicine, led by Kelly Dunn, our new institute director, but also leaders in psychiatry, infectious disease, the Department of Neuroscience, and our new administrative leaders who are doing such a great job. We're about to move, I think pretty soon, maybe 6 months, into new 17,000 square feet in the Health Science Facility 3, where we'll have our reception. But they're already off to an incredible start. Our Department of Psychiatry and Eric Weintraub, they're seeing sharp reductions in overdose deaths of people that are jailed. They have programs across all our jails so people don't leave and then overdose because they've sort of lost their tolerance during their internment. We've also joined the Appalachian node of the NIDA Clinical Trials Network with a perfect score. This is very important. It allows us to run national clinical trials. And Dr. Dunn is building a clinical trials program in partnership with the Institute for Human Virology, where people are admitted and we stop their narcotics and we randomize them to placebo or a new experimental drug to try to bend that curve and develop therapies. Dr. Dunn pointed out to me that we have more than 60 treatments for depression and only 2 for opioids. The stigma has slowed down our progress, and we want to break that stigma here at Maryland. And we've brought in new recruits. Now, while you look at these names, we have the name of our recruit, and we want to welcome them, and what they do shown in bold, when they're coming. But these institutes have formed search committees and are recruiting the best talent to join these institutes. Now, you may ask, when things are tough, why are we recruiting new faculty? Well, number one, we have set a high bar. These faculty have to have 2 to 5 years of stable funding. They have to be focused in areas that we think are very promising for sustained funding by this new administration, and they have to be superstars. And all of these people fit this criteria. And it's, again, building up that next generation of successful investigators here at the University of Maryland. The Institute for Genome Science, Dr. Fertig, Dan Bergman published a study in Cell. This is one of the most competitive journals for basic science. Now, I have the title for the mathletes in our BSMD. This is the kind of work you'll do. Human Interpretable Grammar Encodes Multicellular Systems Biology Model to Democratize Virtual Cell Laboratories. And now, if you say that fast, So, but what this is every cell has more information and is more organized and actually more successful than the city of New York. And that cell, we have so much data at the cellular level. And all that data is now available computationally. And so what she's done is organize systems that characterize that data mathematically and are able to ask basic questions on a computer. For example, a term, a T cell kills a cancer cell. And it will model that full thing. And then you can bring in, you're going to add a treatment. What would that treatment do to that killing event? Because that treatment has a known effect on subcellular signaling. So you can start in silico doing the things that we've done in cells for years. They've also launched, with the leadership of Dr. Ravel, the Center for Advanced Microbiome Research and Innovation, and they've established an R&D technology brand. They have incredible sequencing capacity. How do we open that up to pharma, again, to deal with the challenges we're facing with federal funding? They have new leaders as well. They have a new co-leader of the Cancer Biology Research Program. I mentioned Dr. Raval's new leader. He's also our Assistant Dean for Research Advancement, and new recruits. And again, you can see what they do. Again, we're delighted to have them at the end. They elevate our community and the work we're doing. UMMIND, this University of Maryland Medicine Institute for Neuroscience Discovery, led by Peg McCarthy. They have created over this last year a new bioimage analysis workshop, and they received a 2.4 grant from the state for advanced microscopy. They had a neural networks day, brewing biology, and these are the leaders that cross the basic to clinical domains of neuroscience that have helped build this new institute. And they've had search committees finding the best talent in the country, and now we have 5 people coming. And again, you can see their name, what department they'll be in, and the kind of work they're doing. This one's a little challenging too, but our UMMIND team has a Chrysaptics trans blood-brain barrier genome editing team. Now, Graham Woodworth would want to trip me up with a word like Chrysaptics, and I'm not sure what it means. But what I do know is what they're doing is there's a strong blood-brain barrier. Our bloodstream does not connect to the brain. It protects the brain from infections. So if you have a brain cancer, or you have a brain infection, or you have a brain disease, you can't get a drug to that site. So they're using focused ultrasound to open up that blood-brain barrier and allow therapies, in this case gene editing technologies, to go across to attack cancer, to improve brain disease. So very exciting translational program. And I think Graham Woodworth could not be here because he's in the operating room saving lives. So he's both in trouble, but to be lauded. Our Institute for Health Computing. Now we have at one site, this is the Montgomery County funded partnership between College Park, the University of Maryland Medical System, and UMB. We have researchers, computer scientists, artificial intelligence, machine learning experts, biomarker scientists, distinguished faculty, all on site at Montgomery County, collaborations with many of our departments. They've just created a language model that will search the UMMS data set of 2 million unique patients to find a specific type of cardiovascular disease that may be undiagnosed. They're analyzing notes for possible infections. They've developed a predictive model that will identify hospitalized patients at very high risk of developing an arrhythmia of the heart. They have 5 new intellectual property innovations, and they've launched a major partnership with the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute at the NIH, which we're quite excited about. They also have a lot of new faculty, and I'll just let you take a look at these individuals that have joined our team. Nitin Seam, by the way, came from the NIH and will be leading educational programs in AI and supporting the BSMD degree. He was just down at College Park visiting them. Our Maryland Psychiatric Research Center. This is focused on schizophrenia. One of the scariest diseases for parents, for all of us, is schizophrenia, because it's one of these diseases that hits highly functional, normal individuals between age 20 to 30. It's very scary. I remember when I was in med school, I sort of took a deep breath when I crossed that 30-year-old threshold. It's very scary, and Deanna Kelly's the world's expert in this, and she has tremendous foundational support for her advanced clinical trials. And this is a center that's located at Spring Grove. She's been very successful in recruiting. So again, she's brought these new faculty in, neuroimaging, brain-based mechanisms of risk and resilience, sequence and methods for developing of neuroimaging. They have a very strong neuroimaging program there. And our Institute for Human Virology, we have certain priority research areas that have been very successful, such as fighting complications of HIV or substance use. And you can see our leaders there, including Sarah Catacuzzi. The virology of hepatitis B and HIV, finding novel immune therapies, Dr. Tang and Merther. And innovations in vaccinology, engineering antibodies for HIV and developing predictive algorithms. Our Center for Vaccine Development, we're very excited about new upcoming trials. Dr. Deming will be leading a universal influenza vaccine trial. This is the holy grail, one vaccine that could cover all of influenza, the present and the future. Since the pandemic of 1918, the specter of pandemic flu, is always there. Right now, we're quite worried about H5N1. This idea of the universal vaccine could solve this problem for humanity. We also do challenge studies. So Dr. Ortiz, who's a fellow country lung doctor like me, but he works on vaccinology, he actually exposes people to H1N1 that have been vaccinated and then can see whether it's effective very rapidly. These challenge models are hugely important, especially if we face a really rapidly progressive new infection and we need to know whether something works quickly. And just a shout out to Dr. Kotloff, who's one of our world-class scientists in the CBD. Let's turn to education. And while we're a school of medicine, we have a school of physical therapy, we have a graduate school, we have a master's in genetic counseling, and I'll just share some of the success in these domains. So we're very committed to training the next generations of biomedical PhD scientists. Jessica Mong does an incredible job. She works with Dean up in the front. They work together on this program at UMB and Dr. Wong. And on the School of Medicine side, we graduated 48 PhD students and 16 master students. This was 55% of UMB's PhDs and 69% of the students required for our R1 research designation, something Provost Ward is very proud of and pushes us all the time to sustain, grow, and maintain. We have an incoming cohort of 40 students. Many academic medical centers froze their graduate student programs in the last 8 months, and we haven't done that. We're committed to supporting these students and continue this pipeline of talent development. Jessica Mong has helped lead something really exciting. And by the way, for all the clinicians here listening, this is how we're also going to work together to address the burnout and stress of more busier and busier clinical fellowships. What we did is we made a new preclinical master's degree program. This is in collaboration with the School of Pharmacy and Dean Michelle at the end. They have an incredible master's in pharmacological sciences, and we've combined that and modified that to make a one-year master's for people that want to go to med school or other health professions. These students often, many of our kids, volunteer in random places. They volunteer to be medical assistants, but they leave without a degree or without structured learning. For this, they'll come in, they will get a day and a half of scribing every week for a year. They'll have a scribe training and boot camp so they're ready for it. They'll work with our clinicians to improve the efficiency of our care, make our lives better, but we'll be committed to mentoring them, writing them letters of recommendation. It's a win-win. Not only that, they have incredible coursework through pharmacy on understanding pharmacology, biostatistics, grant writing, journal clubs, so a lot of structured learning and pre-medical curriculum.
The graduate students are really the foundation and the backbone of the lab. They are the ones that help me think and help me work through projects, help me develop projects in the lab. So they're not just hands, they're actually helping move the lab forward.
Grad students, I feel, are a really important intersection between a lot of these more junior scientists and more of these senior, more established postdoc areas. Questioning things, but also logically pursuing a solution. I think that is just a skill that is important. In addition to a lot of these junior scientists, of course, we have our postdocs and we have other grad students that are all trying to curate this scientific enterprise for everyone.
I expect that I will have to train them, of course, but I expect that they come in with a motivated attitude, willing to learn, wanting to learn, hungry to learn science, a passion for science. You see them develop from just being at the bench to actually starting to think about how the science is being done and how to move their projects forward.
Our physical therapy and rehabilitation science program, led by Dr. Marchese, 210 physical therapy students, 100% graduation rate, 97% employment rate, and a $2.5 million research funding within the group. Very proud of this program. Our Masters of Public Health, we have 24 incoming students. This is run by our Department of Epidemiology. They perform 500 hours of service, 3,600 hours of field work, You can see their concentrations of their study, and 2 of our students won the National Academy of Medicine's Public Health Challenge. We have a very elite master's in genetic counseling. This is a highly competitive 2-year program. We get 220 applicants for 10 counseling training slots. We have 19 licensed genetic counselors on campus. And these graduates really form leadership for the growing field of genetic counseling across the state and across the country. We have 7 that are in the Maryland and DC Society of Genetic Counselors, 9 of 64 lead training programs in the US and Canada. My family has a rare cardiac genetic disease. The world's expert in that disease is at Hopkins. We went there. All the genetic counselors there trained here. So incredible partnership and bridge. The rest of my health care, I get here, trust me. So our medical school, led by Donna Parker, an incredible team. We had 7,000 applicants for up to 173 seats. You see we're increasing our class size from 150 to 200 to meet the physician shortage ahead of us. We have 9 in our new Rural Medical Scholars Program, I'll mention. They have an 87th percentile in the MCAT, 3.84 average GPA, 64% women, 79% come from Maryland. We are focused on the state of Maryland. 27% describe themselves as underrepresented in medicine, which includes Southeast Asia, and 67 different colleges and universities. So how do they do? We have something called the match. After medical school, they match to residencies. 26% serve here at UMMC. So Bert, they love working at UMMC. 54% match in the state of Maryland. That's a high mark. And 41% are going into primary care. But they could go wherever they want. These are some of the top programs where our graduates have gone to: Cornell, Duke, Harvard, Hopkins, Stanford, UCSF, Yale. This is a very successful medical school. We're very proud of it. Under Donna Parker's leadership and Jim Caper's leadership, we've just been reaccredited for 8 years. This is a massive workout, as you can see on the left side, and it was a huge effort, and we're really appreciative of this accreditation. So we've started a new program that we're very proud of. It's very exciting, it's really transformative, and it's the Rural MD Scholars Program. And what we're essentially doing is we're trying to raise full scholarships, which is $41,000 per year for 4 years, and then those students have to give back 4 years of service on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. We've already raised 13 full scholarships, and we opened the class up. In the first year, 3 people joined, but this is the first year where we took external applications. We had more than 200 applicants. We accepted 9, so it's extremely competitive, but 5 of the 8 actually come from the Eastern Shore. You can see the Dorchester, Kent. I always mispronounce these and get in trouble when I'm in the Eastern Shore. But you can see these brilliant young people are coming from the Eastern Shore and committed to going back. So we're really excited about this program and really appreciate Dr. Milstein, who's been leading this as a program director. So here's a little story from one of our scholars.
Our philanthropic efforts have predominantly surrounded education and healthcare because we believe those are the cornerstones of a strong community. The University of Maryland School of Medicine fits both, and it's an easy place to give, and this program in particular is an easy place for us to give and get behind. We've seen an attrition of predominantly primary care physicians or frontline physicians consolidated into other organizations, and they've lost their footprint here on the Eastern Shore.
I'm originally from the Eastern Shore, so we had our family on the other side of the bridge, and there were some benefits to that. Certainly reliable care was one of them, and growing up here I had that, so I get passionate about that returning to this area, something that families can count on. As we've partnered together to decide how to give, in giving to the University of Maryland, we are helping them make a big impact. It's a gift that they have the capacity to steward well.
I grew up on the Eastern Shore, and I was always aware of the health disparities and some of the access to care problems that exist. And I always knew I wanted to practice in a place that has a healthcare shortage. I'm really grateful for the Our Heal and Rural MD program and the donors who have supported it.
So a huge thanks to our scholarship donors listed here. Chip and Kelly Dosch, who you just saw, Carolyn Frankel, the Godolsky Family Foundation, Pat Lewers, Phyllis Friedman, Louis Friedman, Freddie Traub. The Maryland State Government, the Eastern Shore delegation, has been so supportive, 2 years in a row, $1.4 million for this program, and a large anonymous gift. We're now raising endowed scholarships, $1.2 million, and a scholar can be endowed forever. And we've raised verbal commitments on 4 of those, 1.2 million scholars programs. So very exciting. People are very excited about this program. We're partnering with the Shore Health, building the new hospital, working together to not only build an elite facility in Easton, but having the best doctors there working there and the best trainees working there. So very excited about that partnership. So shifting to clinical. So some big news. We've opened 2 major dermatology care facilities in the community, in Columbia and Lutherville. We have 11 new faculty, 240% increase in monthly patient visits, and we have same-day visits. If any of you, your family, your kids need dermatology, telemed one-day access. The average in the state of Maryland is 6 months to 12 months. So we're really excited about this program. We're very proud of our leadership team, Dr. Quatra, Patel, Driscoll, Makhzoomi, and Dr. Quatra has recruited superstar faculty shown here. You have to be the top student in your medical school to get into dermatology. I'm a little concerned they're all women, so because I have 2 boys. But anyway, and I've told Dr. Quatra he's got to start recruiting one male. But incredible team, and you see they're brilliant. They're almost all chief residents, the most successful people coming out of their residencies. From a clinical standpoint, we're still facing a major challenge of opioid overdoses. You probably saw the news. There was a mass casualty overdose 3 miles away, 27 people hospitalized. It's thought to be some mix of drugs that hit the market. And so the Collard Institute is really focused on this. We've dispensed more than 1,000 kits since January 2025. We're also very excited that Baltimore City is supporting now this new $10 million grant from the City Opioid Restitution Fund to build this B Corps program led by Martha Jerzak. This is going to have telemedicine hotlines, organized emergency department intervention, the city fire department, Goldie mobile apps. And so, we appreciate, Dr. Taylor, all your support in this effort. And the Rate Commission, the HFCRC, is also committed to supporting this program. So we've had some big news. This was a front page article in the Washington Post. And so I'm going to show a little video. We have Carla Flores, who's here with us. Carla, if you can stand up or wave. You're very courageous. And she's here with her mother, right? Su mamá. Gracias por todo. So I'm going to show you a video. For some people, there's some elements where the surgeon were training in cadaveric training to be able to do this complicated surgery. So some of this you may want to close your eyes for, but.
I went to my eye doctor. My eye doctor, she was fast with it. She got an MRI from my head. That's what she told me. She saw the brain tumor. The doctor from Johns Hopkins told me that they might not be able to do it correct because they don't have the good surgeons. He knows a great surgeon. I was like, okay, send me to a great surgeon.
Carla is a young girl with a very large chordoma. Part of this tumor is immediately in front of the upper cervical spinal cord. Her tumor was very large. We removed part of it from the side of the head, from the left side. We removed part of it from the nose, but that missing part is the part that is really in front of the spinal cord, and it would have been very difficult to come from the back and get in front of the cord. So that third nostril approach allowed us to come from the side and land immediately on the tumor.
The process of it wasn't fun. It was painful. But at the end, I'm alive and I'm still doing well.
Thank you, Carla. So I also want to recognize, I think Dr. Winters, I saw you somewhere here. Where are you? Dr. Winters and Brian Brown have led this historic change management initiative for our Department of Emergency Medicine. This has been a multidisciplinary collaboration with our nurses, with our frontline staff, with Dr. Marcosi, UMMC leadership. And what did they do? They changed the whole dynamic of how you're seen in an emergency room. The doctors actually do the frontline triage. They go into the waiting area, they see the patient. Do you have a stroke? Do you have a heart attack? Do you have sepsis? Do you have critical illness? Right away, you go back to protocol-based care. Do you have a treatment that I can give you a medicine right there and discharge you? You do that right there. And then they added critical evening shifts to cover that, supported by Bert O'Malley. They partnered with completely different nursing strategies. They created internal waiting and observational areas and had to reprogram Epic. They prepared for months for this and launched it. Now this, my selfie, was my secret shopper visit to our ER. This is the busiest ER. Is this the busiest ER in Maryland? Almost. You can go there, it's almost always empty like this now. It's amazing. So what's the result? 50% drop in the time of arrival to the time you're seen by a doctor, drop to 18 minutes. 42% decrease in patients that are left without being seen. We had patients that went to the ER, they waited so long, they just left. 74% left prior to treatment complete, or a 74% drop in that parameter. 28% drop in the length of stay for our discharge patients. And you can just see this. And our volume increased as we saw more patients. 77%, this has improved the quality, and you can see this is an anonymous comment from one of our patients. We didn't used to get these kind of comments. The top box is that you're ranking us in the 25th percentile. We're the top 25th percentile. 77% of people say we're top bops for quality. And just a shout out to an incredible leadership team that did this, and just want to compliment you on, this is process engineering of new ways of delivering needed care, so thank you. We have new clinical leaders, Dr. Tullis and Winters as interim chairs, new administrative leaders like Matt, who's our Chief Operation Officer for the practice plan, and Megan Hirsch. And I do want to mention and shout out to Sue Kinter. Sue, where is Sue? Maybe you can stand up really quick. So it's President Kinter from now on. She essentially succeeded after the retirement, Dr. DePriest Y. And when he retired, we had a national search. It was incredibly competitive. We had top leaders in the field of captive insurances, risk management, safety that applied for this job. And there was overwhelming universal support for her to take over this role. Now, in that process, what I learned is she is a fierce litigator. She ran the litigation side. Successful litigator across the state of Maryland, known and feared. She's an expert in risk management. And she's built and invested successful quality and safety programs like the OBGYN NEST program you're going to hear about, which protects babies across the state of Maryland. Her team reaches out to our suffering families with solutions that avoid litigation, solutions that provide more immediate relief. And terrible accidents will always happen in a high-volume academic medical center, and especially where we serve the most vulnerable patients in the state of Maryland. And we want to provide rapid relief, at the same time avoid litigation that consumes vital resources that would be best invested in improving our quality of care. So we're really appreciative of your leadership, and congratulations. I would just say Dr. Mohan Suntha and I have the privilege of chairing the board of MMCIP. This is one of the largest captive insurance programs for our providers. And it provides incredible support to all of our providers. But not only that, this program invests in preventive medicine and safety. For example, we put almost $6 million every year in improving the lives and the outcomes for our mothers and babies. So very proud of what this organization does. So we've been restructuring the faculty practice plan. This is led by President William Regine and by our CEO, Rachel Hoover. Now, Rachel, I'm going to ask you to step up because I told her to wear a white coat because she is a licensed, successful advanced practice provider. You're supposed to have that white coat on. But she's an incredible recruiter and leader, and you can see our talent that have been here before, but also recruited from the outside that now lead the practice plan. And I will tell you that Rachel is, so I'm kind of known to be aggressive and maybe a little soft, and she is sweet and tough. And so it's a great balance. Now, Bill Regine's from Brooklyn, so I won't say what he is, but it's a great team. So I'm really proud of our faculty practice. We have just been doing a great job. We have 1,400 physicians and growing, 95 faculty locations that you can see, 49 clinics, and 11 faculty-led access centers. We have 1.7 million patient encounters per year and have a statewide telemedicine network. And we have an essential partnership with UMC and Midtown campus, and increasing partnerships across the University of Maryland medical system. Under Bill and Rachel's leadership, with the board of our faculty practice, which is all our chairs, they have successfully negotiated new payer contracts over the last year. Quite a big deal. They've expanded our partnerships with advanced practice providers. We want everybody at the top of their license working as teams, and we've brought the CRNAs to be equal partners with us in provision of anesthesia care. We've focused on access in keepage, building clinics, patient access, health equity and service to our communities, strong wraparound services. We have important joint ventures with the University of Maryland Medical Center, specialty ambulatory care, hospital-based care, quality and safety. We have new funds flow models for anesthesia, radiology, surgery. We're building important new partnerships with UMS hospitals and West Baltimore's Total Health Care with Danny Bellamy. Very proud of that growing partnership, and creating value-based infrastructure. This is just a highlight of the important accomplishments in the last year. And this is producing results. In yellow, this is an increase in our patient encounters, up 6%. In blue, our collections, 23% increase in collections. This has resulted in a $63.6 million of incremental revenue over 2024. Now, those dollars are being reinvested in salaries, and those dollars are also covering departments that have struggled to improve them and move them to a sound status, but very exciting growth of our department. We're very focused on patient access. We want every patient to be a VIP. You don't want you calling me to get a clinic visit. We want you to call our faculty practice and you get that visit. And what we do is we monitor through Epic many parameters, but one, for example, is how many patients are committed to your Epic template and how many actually show up, and this is the no-show rate. And you can see across 1.7 million patients this improvement that we're doing collectively to make sure our clinics are full and efficient. These are some of our high-flying departments, just showing, our target is 110% filled clinics so that the no-show rate results in a full clinic. Now, that's hard for you as a provider because sometimes everybody does show up. And I've had that happen to me, and I understand that. But you can see some of these departments: dermatology, ophthalmology, orthopedics, otorhinolaryngology, and then the increases in medicine. Family medicine has just been doing great. They've had some loss of faculty, which reflects some of that drop. Percentage of patients seen in 30 days. This is remarkable. Look at the departments that are seeing 80% of their patients to almost 100% of their patients within 30 days. FPI has built strong in IT technology. We did really well with the Change Healthcare cyber attack, the crowdsourced cyber attack. As I'll mention in a minute, we've implemented in partnership with UMMS the Nuance DAX Artificial Intelligence Scribe program. I'll mention that, very exciting. We have new text to pay. I just got that when I went to my last clinic visit. And we're stabilizing infrastructure. So this, part of the challenge is I've been pushing. I'll see people in the street and they'll say, Dean Gladwin, you're making my clinic too full. And people like to say, well, Dean Gladwin says you need a full clinic, which is true. But at the same time, though, we want to make this a better experience for you and for the patient. And one thing is that scribing program. We have these 10 scribes. We would like to go to 50 next year and then 100 in partnership with Dean Michel. So we want to have the best and brightest pre-medical scribes. But we've also launched this new AI scribe program. We now have 275 physicians using it, 97,000 encounters. Remember, this is an AI system that listens to you and your patient talk and writes the note for you. Pretty amazing. 92% of our providers say it saves them time. It's saving 7.9 minutes per patient. We can monitor that. 2 additional patients have been seen per day. 92% of our docs say they'll be disappointed if it goes away, and they're saying a 69% reduction in computer use. There's something called pajama time. The average doctor spends 2 hours outside of work on Epic writing notes. We want to turn that around so that when people leave work, they have that time for their families. And this just shows the growth in family medicine, internal medicine, and emergency medicine. We're very proud of the care we provide right here at UMMC. These are just some of the statistics for the last year. 29,000 admissions. You can see ER visits, outpatient, surgical cases, shock trauma, cancer, and you just see the list. Almost 1,000 babies delivered, 518 transplant surgeries. We're very proud of the Shock Trauma Center. We receive state support to strengthen and grow this program. And Dr. Skalea Efron and Deb Stein are our leaders. And we had 6,280 trauma cases. This is a 320 case increase above 2024 as we've grown to accommodate more patients. 84 increase in our OR cases, 4% increase. They've been able to drop the adjusted length of stay, and a drop of 56% in our lost inter-hospital transfers. So that state support is resulting in results. We are driving stroke care innovation across the state through our partnership with UMS. Right now, if you have a stroke and you get in quickly, they can put a catheter up the artery into the brain and literally suck that catheter out, that clot out, or give a clot-busting drug. We are now doing 45-minute timeliness to reperfusion for strokes, which the average for Maryland is 77 minutes. We're the top 25 in the nation for low complication rate, low post-procedure hemorrhage. We received the Maryland Stars of Life Award for this program, and we did more than 200 thrombectomies in the last year. These are the leaders of our program, and this is just a real example of a wire being thread up through the carotid artery into the basilar artery, and this device is going to move up here and then pull the clot back out. And you can see our faculty leaders. These are elite trained individuals that do this procedure, and we're very appreciative of the work you all do. Dr. Bird and the OB team has done an incredible job improving neonatal outcomes. And again, this has been supported by MMCIP, as I mentioned. We have this program called NEST that can monitor the fetal heart monitors across the University of Maryland medical system. We have 17 nurses with 250 years of experience. We look at the fetal monitoring strips 24/7, and we have an AI advanced perinatal software system helping them do their work. And it's working, looking green. This is the drop in the most feared hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy compared to the 2 prior years once this system's been rolled out. One of the most important challenges ahead of us is how do we improve our quality and safety performance? And we're going to be very focused on this going forward. We monitor safety, timeliness, effectiveness, efficiency, equity, patient-centeredness. And we use Vizient because it's a database in real time from other academic medical centers across the country, and it captures what our Rate Commission of Maryland wants to see. It captures Leapfrog, Center for Medicare Services, IBM Watson, US News, so it really captures a lot of these important endpoints. And we look at mortality, risk-adjusted inpatient mortality, safety, infections, preventable complications, effectiveness, 30-day readmissions, efficiency, equity, and patient-centeredness. How happy are people with their care? And we have good news and bad news. The good news is our mortality, we're 22 out of more than 150 elite academic medical centers shown here. And our effectiveness, our readmission rate, is excellent. But we have very low safety scores. Now, Tom Scalea points out to me all the time that no one dies in shock trauma. But when we get somebody through multiple gunshot wounds, severe illness, we're also often going to hit some of these metrics on safety. But we still know we can do better, we will do better. This is a big push for us. And what we need to do is focus on our patient well-being, which is great for everyone, but there's also $70 million in value-based payments from the Rate Commission if we do better on safety. So we're standardizing care. We all have to do bedside rounds with the nurses. Data shows the patient experience better and the outcomes are better. And we have to eliminate these things on the list. And although I'm almost out of time and we're almost done, I have to emphasize, there are never events operating on the wrong side of the body. We take timeouts for every procedure. Is it the right side? Is it the right place? What are we doing? We have to prevent pressure sores. We have a very vulnerable population with comorbidities, and pressure sores are very common. So our nurses are trained to look for these, and we have to work with them, help turn our patients, help mobilize our patients. We have to do checklists every day with our teams on our patients. Central lines have to come out. Foley catheters have to come out. I serve in the ICU, and we talk about it. When's that Foley catheter come out? When's that line flip? Surgical site infections, giving antibiotics at the right side. We have to prevent blood clots. At the same time, we have to prevent bleeding. That's tough for our surgeons, but they're experts. We have to work with our nurses to get the anticoagulation at the right time for the right patient. We need to prevent kidney injury, sepsis, respiratory failure. These are going to be things we're going to obsess about in the next year working together. To do this, UMMC is investing $10 million to support physician leaders who are going to partner with nurses to lead their respective units. This is led by Dr. Marcosi. Here you can see one of our other leaders in this, Dr. Grazioli. But more than 100 of our faculty leaders are going to be assigned their unit and focus every single day on bending this curve. We're also thinking about our joint strategic plan. For us to succeed as a 750-bed hospital that has advanced tertiary and quaternary care, but also serves our communities around us, we have to find beds for these advanced care modalities, cancer care like CAR T cells, neuroscience like you just saw, cardiovascular, kidney liver transplantation. We also have to take care of the chronic disease. These are all priorities that we're calling Tier 1. We also have to continue to build our heart and lung transplant programs, our perinatal neonatology care, shock trauma. We're growing our pediatric heart program. To do that, we're going to have to stop doing something. And we want to start building programs of excellence at other partner hospitals in UMMS. So maybe patients would go to those places for those areas of work. And we can support those hospitals through telemedicine and local specialty support. We can do round trips. People come in for one day and go back. And we have to reduce readmissions. Now, I talked about this last year, so I'll be brief. We want to reduce readmissions and make beds for our high-value, high-complex care. So Rod Taylor and Jeanette Gibbs have been leading this program. It is getting rolling fast. We identify patients at risk for readmission. We have data analytics. We're working to improve those analytics. We deliver family-centered specialty consultation. We have med beds. They have discharged. We want 100% of our patients walking out with the right drug for that patient before they leave the hospital. We're doing well there. We navigate them after discharge to clinic. We need an outpatient visit in 14 days, and we have to overbook to prevent ER visits. And these are the target for days for a post-discharge visit that we're targeting for these diagnoses. We're also targeting these for hospital consults. So that's going to be our big push. Now we're really excited about our alignment with the hospital. Again, we have a joint strategic plan. 20% of the margin in the hospital comes back to us for academic programming. We have heavily invested in incentives, readmissions incentives, clinical access incentives, joint performance programs linked to quality, joint ventures for specialty care growth. We have a new value-based enterprise and clinical strategic investment fund to build specialty care programs in rheumatology, inflammatory bowel disease, cancer, dermatology. We have shared leadership. We serve on each other's boards. And we have faculty practice integration. We're pulling all of our faculty practice together in one entity, Faculty Practice Incorporated. And again, we're focused on you and physician burnout. So Allied leadership, we're very proud of this. Last thing I'll mention, we're kind of excited about our Children's Hospital and Specialty Clinic. We're planning, we have a big philanthropic ask out. Hopefully we'll have some news soon. But we want to consolidate our pediatric care. And we're building new innovative programs. We are about, is Jessica Seha here or is she online? I can't remember. Jessica is going to be the first patient in the state of Maryland to receive curative gene therapy for sickle cell. We're passionate about building curative gene therapy programs here and cell-based therapies like CAR-T for lymphoma for children here. And she's received her third pheresis with gene therapy treatment and is now awaiting the transplantation.
It was something that excited us as a family with the perspective of being cured using my own stem cells and not having to look for a donor. Essentially to be normal, not to have so many hospital visits, not to have to miss out on family events, to miss out on my children's activities, their lives, and be able to plan ahead of time, be able to participate. It's just all of the things that I've felt I've missed out on.
I think Jess is joining us virtually, so thank you for your bravery. Dr. Chin and Forbes and our pediatric anesthesiologists are building pediatric heart surgery. We're very excited about this. There's been a very rapid growth in our cases, and this is a program we're putting a lot of priority on. We're super proud, of course, Michael Greenenbaum's here, of our Greenenbaum Comprehensive Cancer Center. You can see 60,000 patient visits, 385 clinical trials, $157 million in annual research funding, and we work with 13 hospitals across the system. We're super proud that we're launching a new program in partnership with AstraZeneca to try to screen all Marylanders for lung cancer. And this is an $8 million grant support program where we're going to use the electronic healthcare record and look at CAT scans that have already been done to see if tumors were missed and can we drive them forward. We're also going to staff mobile screening units and identifying patients across the state that should be eligible for screening that can't get it or aren't getting it. Only 4% of people eligible for lung cancer screening receive it today in this country, so we have to do better. And again, a number of new cancer center recruits. We welcome you to the school and very excited about these experts coming to join us here. So I'll just finish briefly with community. Issa Davis, where's Issa? Thank you for your leadership. She's launched our University of Maryland Center for Community Health. The goal is to drive sustainable long-term health improvements to address social determinants of health and disparities. This center is supporting events, it's building capacity, it's bringing partners together, and building engagement in our community. And these are examples of many pictures from incredible resource fairs. I got a free set of sunglasses here. And we're very proud of the health village that's being built at the Mondawmin Mall. And this is a partnership with Tim Regan and Touchpoint, and with UMB, School of Dentistry, the Cancer Center. And I think I'll let the good pastor have the last word for this event.
Our experience at Mondawmin is long and it's complex. We've had the benefit of a long-term relationship with community leaders. When it came time to develop the village at Mondawmin, and more specifically the health village at Mondawmin, we already had the benefit of trust. The person on the other end of your conversation needs to believe to their core that you care about them. That's fundamental in a partnership. But obviously, they're not going to feel that you care about them unless you do. It's been relatively easy and smooth because the community knows that we're here and we're not going to abandon them, and we're going to do what's right for them.
We are committed to investing in health, building on trust that starts in communities and establishes partnerships with a very shared vision and with a focus on being able to work together to get it done.
To have real partnerships, sustainable, not grant driven, not temporary, but established so that the health foundation of Baltimore City becomes a model. Inequities can be addressed in Baltimore City with great institutions like University of Maryland. We got an ideal time to make a change. We got a governor that wants to change. We've got people like Dean Gladwin that wants to make a change. You all are moving into my community. So when you build it thinking, how are they going to work with us? How are we going to sit at the table with them and make this happen? And I'll drive people in your direction. I'll tell them you can be trusted. I'll watch you and ensure you treat them with respect and dignity. That's partnership.
Amen. I lied. I have a few more words, but very brief. Really proud, Dr. McCarthy and National Academy of Medicine, Dr. Ribeiro, American College of Surgeons. We have our list of distinguished faculty, very proud of your accomplishments. Our Empower professors, Dr. Like in the National Academy of Sciences Researcher of the Year. Peter Rock is retiring, and I do want to say he joined the School of Medicine in 2006, 17 years as chair of our department. He took us to be a research powerhouse in the top 10, and we appreciate his leadership of FPI. And of the school, and being a national model for anesthesia care. Jay Magaziner is retiring from his leadership job, but will still, thank goodness, stay on faculty a little bit longer. He's led our Department of Epidemiology, continuous funded by the NIH, and really proud of his leadership over 17 years. Dr. Brian Brown, he grew our Department of Emergency Medicine to 85 full-time faculty since 2006, and an elite educational and medical excellence department. He's built multiple residency training pathways, constantly innovating, and has been a leader of our faculty practice. So thank you, Brian. And then I do want to make a comment in memoriam of Dr. Sandy Stass. He had a 30-year career. He passed away last week, 30-year career at the School of Medicine. He joined in 1994 as the vice chair for hospital pathology and director of our laboratories of pathology. He became the chair in 2003 and the chair of the Office of Medical, or the Department of Medical and Research Technology in 2009. Not everybody knows, but he also was the director, the first director of our University of Maryland Greenebaum Comprehensive Cancer Center and Program in Oncology, and was the PI for the first NCI grant resulting in certification as a comprehensive cancer center. So I think his leadership formed the backbone of what we are today, and we appreciate him. A number of awards, Hall of Fame from the Baltimore Sun, 25 Black Marylanders to watch, Dr. Owanikoko, top 100 women, Hoover again, influential Marylands, Dr. Like, and Health Innovation Heroes, leading the NEST team with Dr. Bird. And, oh boy, great philanthropy leadership, a record banner year, 87 million raised. Look at this, 93 new funds, 15 new endowments, 2 new distinguished professorships. This slide says it all. Heather Culp, Kim Morton, Lindsay, team, congratulations. And Michael Greenebaum hosts this race every year. Since 2009, this race has raised $2.97 million. And this year, one of our best critical care doctors, Dr. Andy Levine, I also had the joy and privilege of being her mentor at Pittsburgh. When she was a fellow, she worked in my research lab. Well, Andy Levine was in her third trimester and developed symptoms at that point and was diagnosed with brain cancer. She was treated by Mark Mishra, Graham Woodworth, and our team, and I think the baby saved her life by triggering those symptoms with the metabolic and blood flow needs of the fetus, and then she saved her baby's life. She delayed her treatment for 2 weeks, and had a beautiful baby, and then was treated with surgery and treated by our radiation oncology and oncologist team. And here she is racing. She raced with her wife, Noelle. And we had so many nurses, doctors, faculty come and support her. I think they raised $54,000. So wonderful. We have new members for our Board of Visitors. So many of you, thank you. I promise next year that the lecture won't be as long. And we have a lot of new endowed professors, really, really wonderful events. I encourage everybody to come to these events that we have. And lastly, this couldn't be possible without all the folks that contributed to the videos, to all of the programming that we presented. And I appreciate every one of you and all the work you did. And I welcome everybody to come with us to celebrate across the street. And I'll just end with this quote: what lies behind us and what lies before us are teeny matters compared to what lies within us. This is a time for leadership. I think you can all be proud of what we've accomplished and what we're moving towards accomplishing. And every single one of you is part of driving this success forward, and I appreciate you all stepping up every single day and making a huge impact across the 3 domains and service to our community and patients. And I welcome you across the street to our reception, and Godspeed for the coming year, and thank you.